I listened just this week to an interesting YouTube video by a woman called the Oracle Girl. And she was asked in that presentation by a viewer, what is your opinion about COVID-19? And she said, it's just a frequency.
Yep.
That was her answer, period. No more, no less.
Mm-hmm.
So frequencies and vibrations can manifest themselves in illness, right?
They can, yeah.
And I remember you telling me things like, grief. I think the spiritual influence of grief is in the lungs, I believe, right?
Yep.
But what are some other examples, to understand maybe as we think about our own well-being or how we react to life and how we
Let's look at it like the body map.
Mm-hmm.
As the body is formed in such a way, and it's been said for, generations, basically. If you look to the Chinese medicines, you look to the Ayurvedic medicines, you look to all these different medicines, they talk about certain associative or vibrational responses tied to specific organs. Kidneys would be anxiety or fear. Liver would be anger, aggression. The lungs would be the seat house of grief, sadness, or sorrow, unresolved sorrows, deep unresolved sorrows. These things. Eyes manifest judgment or the critical nature for a person that, when they're dealing with macular degeneration, that is related to high judgment. Whether a person is living in the demonic form of high judgment or they've had high judgment cast upon them. And they suddenly become blind to the nature of their human walk because they're blinded by what they don't want to see anymore, they don't want to experience anymore, so they limit their view and more 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 until the macular degeneration doesn't even allow them to see further than their own form. The most they can see is maybe their hand or to the mirror at the most, and then the macular degeneration becomes so deep and so disruptive that the vibrational onslaught to the body of high judgment manifested a vibrational result of macular degeneration. Shutting off a hearing. Sometimes we go through physical things in our lives, me using power tools all the time within my building business or whatever it happens to be, weakening or diminishing the ears, but present, focused, and aware for those people that I serve within Grace Healing. I don't have any problem hearing that. So there is a lot to be revealed. Hand. A person hearts their hand. Well, what does the hand do? It transmutes the gifts of our ability to our working life experience. We're breaking bones. Bones are attached to authority within our lives. Mm. Where do we break the bone? We break the bone. We broke 2 ribs right over our heart. It was related to something to do with our heart. It was related to 2 ribs, 2 relationships directly over our heart. We cracked 2 bones because we were angry with authority and how they harmed 2 people we loved. So that there's ways within the body to look at it like a map to say, what is it showing me vibrationally in what it's producing? And again, this isn't new science by Grace Healing standards today. This is something that's been in Chinese medicine for thousands of years. Ayurvedic medicine for thousands of years, and all these different practices that use the totality of the human being's body to understand where the disruption or blockage is that's unfolding.
And I'm hopeful that the modern medicine is also making strides to look more for the source.
They are in regions, but I will tell you that like I have a sister who's one of the first American Ayurvedic doctors in the country from years ago. And her biggest challenge was getting through the medical system to look at the human body as a whole system of systems and how they integrate with one another. Because you have doctors that are trained one focal point. One's dealing with the eyes, one's dealing with the throat, one's dealing with the feet, one's dealing with the liver, one's dealing with surgical practice, one dealing with surgery of the brain, one dealing with organ surgery, one dealing with heart surgery. And they're not looking, they become so compartmentalized that they've lost sight of the whole. Oh, we got a heart issue. Okay, well, we got to medicate them. We've got to get rid of this possibility of infection. We're going to actually protect the body, and then we're going to in there and fix the heart. When they don't understand that the heart was unreturned love in their youth. If we would pray and see them freed from the perceived notion of that lesser vibration when they were in their youth of not receiving love, help them to recognize the divine love that was present with them the whole time they were walking that experience of unreceived love, they would recognize that they were loved the whole time, even though the person in front of them was incapable of extending it. Love was always present within that heart. Then the muscle would function with greater strength because they would know that they were not sequestering, shutting down the heart through the perception of the lesser vibration of love, because they would return to origin and receive love from the source, not an adjunct to the source, something connected to the source.